Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talking Blondes. I'm your co-host, Virginia, joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Caitlin. Hello, everyone.
We're happy to have you all with us today.
We're so happy to have you with us today. We have another wonderful guest joining Talking Blondes, who is also representing the Pacific Northwest area, Miss Heather. Welcome to Talking Blondes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. And Heather and I actually met through a local women's networking group called Holistic Women in Business. And thanks to Heather here and her business, it has become the venue for this local networking group. So Heather here is a clinical herbalist, and she owns a local herbalist store in downtown Coeur d'Alene, Healing Leaf Apothecary.
That's right.
So awesome. Yeah, we cannot wait to have all these very cool and interesting conversations with you, Heather. So thank you again for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes. All right, well, let's just get right into it. Heather, I'm very curious. Was herbalism part of your upbringing at all?
No, it wasn't. I didn't know much of anything about herbs as a kid, but my parents were very um, particular about our diet. My mom was a good cook. She cooked from scratch. She always made well-balanced meals, so there was a lot of nutrition attention. We always read food labels and all that. So we started off pretty healthy, but as far as herbs, no, that was something I jumped on kind of midlife after my kids started getting older. And I was looking towards the future with no more kids in the house and decided I needed to find something else to do other than being a mom. So
Yeah.
I found herbs.
Wow. Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, and what a wonderful outlet to turn into a passion and turn into a career, really. I mean, I think of women at different transition periods in their lives and it sounds like maybe empty nesting was on the brain at some point or just kids getting older and of course being a mother is such an amazing job and role that you know wonderful women get to play, but at the same time, I think it's such a thing where we kind of almost forget, there's more to us, and what else is there and what else can we get into, and so what a wonderful thing. And I just have to say too, I try to remind guests of ours about the fact that we love promoting. You would not be here if you were not someone that Virginia and I both admired for your passion and your courage and your intelligence with what you're doing. So we're so happy that we're, highlighting what you do and having this conversation with you just about your journey in general and what you offer. So
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Heather, like what was really cool though, you were just very proactive, it sounded like, at that stage in motherhood where you're like, okay, I this is inevitable. Like it's going to happen whether I particularly like it or not. So I might as well just embrace it and make the most out of it. Which is a completely, I think, different way and more positive way of taking ownership of your life, because there are so many things, Heather, as you know, from motherhood that actually shapes us into the women we are. We just don't know how transferable those skill sets are going to be just yet until we, pursue something else. So that was pretty amazing of you to already foresee what was coming and then just start it to, like, okay, well, what can I do? What interests me? Who is Heather? Those can be intimidating questions to ask in that season of life. So kudos to you for doing that. Heather, I know when we were talking a little bit earlier, you mentioned you also noticed a decline in your parents' health, and they were heavily on prescription medications. So even though it sounded like they used food as medicinal for the most part, but still, health changes occurred. So was that part of your drive as well to get into herbalism?
Yeah, definitely. My parents were fairly healthy, but they were still, each year it was just incrementally getting more and more the cholesterol medication, the heart, blood pressure medication, things like that. And it was always, here's the pill for your blood pressure, but oh, it gives you dry mouth, so here's another pill for that. And it was just the compounding pills just for one simple, not one simple, but for one condition, the pills just compounded. And so the
Hmm.
side effects just kind of drove me crazy. And so that's when I thought, why we didn't used to have side effects. That didn't used to be a thing. When you would heal yourself, there wasn't, the cure was not full of side effects, and now it is. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
unfortunately.
big part of it.
How about
Okay.
too when you're watching even just the commercials on TV and it's like they're
Crazy.
they're skipping in the park and the dog's there and everybody's happy and then there's like, oh, may cause, like you said, dry mouth, this, that, or death, or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
clearly there has to be something better out there or something alternative for those who are interested in what else is there. So
Yeah. Yeah. And Heather, like out of all the things in the holistic wellness space, why herbalism for you?
I didn't go out seeking herbalism. I just knew that I wanted to do something in the holistic field. And so I went to the big university in Seattle that teaches all the different healing modalities. And I just was really drawn to the herbal studies program. And they were doing a demonstration in the potions lab that day, making lip balm of all simple things. But it was just so exciting. And I just got this major fireworks moment saying, this is it. This is what you want to do. I don't know what to do with it, but this is what I want to do.
Oh,
So I
oh
was
my
really
God.
fortunate to have a husband that said, go for it. Go do it. If that's what you're excited about, do it. So
Wow. Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
nice.
That's huge. That's huge for one, for you to have that aha moment, right? Nobody can have that for yourself or
Right.
for you. Like that's something that comes from within. And then to have the support of your spouse
Yeah.
is monumental. So that's incredible. So was it like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm an herbalist. I'm going to make my tinctures and my potions and have the store and everything. Or was it a different path at that time?
It was
Was it?
very different. It was. My courses that I took were weekend courses, so I was still doing my old job in the
Okay.
corporate sales. So I just took the weekend courses for a couple of years, and then at the end, the instructor said, "Okay, you can call yourself an herbalist." And I was like, "Can I? Am I? Is that true? I don't know. I don't feel like an herbalist. Like that feels weird. I don't know." And so little by little, I just started using them more and using them with my kids and using them on myself and just playing with them, making herbal iced teas or just the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
And after a while, I'm like, I can call myself an herbalist. I do know what I'm doing. It was an
yeah,
identity that was really hard to embrace.
Yes, the imposter syndrome
Yes.
was at all
Yes.
time high. Yes, yes. Well, way to push through that. Can you recall at that time, Heather, when you were using herbs for you and your family, did you notice any like positive benefits or health changes for you personally or for the kids? Did you notice anything like that?
Well, I didn't know we got sick a lot less. There was a lot
Oh,
less colds and flus that came home, and not so much that, well, I guess we did heal them and we got better faster, but there were just fewer colds and flus in the house. And in a family with 5 kids in it, coming and going, and pets and school and work, there's a lot of potential colds and
mhm.
flus. And
yeah,
we were just so much healthier than everybody else. And it wasn't because I was always here, take this, take that. Oh, you've got the sniffles, you got it. It wasn't like that. It was just, hey, here's a good wellness tea for us to drink all winter long. And it
Mm,
was just,
okay,
I honestly think it was more like the micronutrients coming from the herbs, not
mhm.
necessarily using them to cure anything.
Right.
So
okay.
we were just at a cellular level healthier.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. And I a cousin of mine, she has three boys and she's married, and she'd be the first to say, if one of us gets sick, all of us get sick. And it is like, she has just told me over and over again, it's miserable. So I think she could absolutely relate to you, where it's like, it is way better if we can avoid that at all costs and prevent it, or keep it to a minimum if possible. So for anybody who's kind of new to this, just in general, I would love to kind of ask somewhat of a very basic question. Western world, Western medicine, we are so prone to pharmacy, go to the doctor, he writes up a prescription or she writes a prescription, you take something, you treat your symptoms, whatever, bing, bang, boom, done. Of course, lots of side effects that a lot of people get. But, how would you, in your experience, maybe, how would you compare a pharmacy versus an apothecary?
Well, the apothecary was the original pharmacy. So that's basically what it operates. A true apothecary operates like an herbal pharmacy. So when you have a condition, you go to the herbal pharmacy, you get the herbs you need, you go home, you make your tea, or if you need it in a capsule, because we like capsules these days. It's a lot easier than a tea. Teas don't always taste good either, medicinal ones. So it very much is the same concept as a pharmacy, but the system is not the same. So you're not going to the doctor who says, take this pill and take it, for the rest of your life. It's more about, here's some herbs that are good for you or good for that condition. For a lot of people, it may not be the exact right herb for you. So try it, see how it works. If it doesn't work perfectly, we'll switch to a different herb, because there is no one size fits all. Everybody's body is different. Ginger for tummy aches doesn't work for everybody. Some people it makes it worse. And so that's where the TikTok knowledge really gets, has a hard time translating to real herbalism. Is, this herb for that thing doesn't always work.
Okay.
That's interesting. And that's good to know. And this, Heather, is very much part of your practice when you do consultations, is you just keep that channel of communication open with your, I don't know if you can call them like clients or like, or patients or whatnot. But I'm thinking this is part of your practice, is that they, come to you and be like, hey, I noticed like I had, these symptoms when I was on this, and then you kind of adjust to, their, the program that you have them on. Is that kind of how it happens, or is that what it looks like for people who are working with you one-on-one?
Yeah, oftentimes it is similar to that. And one of the big things I do in my clinical consultations is figure out that each person's personal constitution, because, and this is Eastern medicine, I studied Ayurveda for a couple of years too, but to figure out someone's constitution, like how their body is made up, that way I can decide, like, if you have stomach issues, do I give you peppermint or do I give you ginger? It's very different. It's a very different person that's going to need each one of those. And being able to diagnose or figure out somebody's constitution, it really helps figure out the proper herbs that are going to have the most potential to help them.
Okay. And you mentioned that there's something you studied. What was it called again?
I studied Ayurveda.
Ayurveda. What's that?
Yeah, so Ayurveda, most people have heard of traditional Chinese medicine.
Yes.
With the acupuncture and the teas and all that. So Ayurveda comes out of India, and it's a much older program than Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine was actually developed out of Ayurveda.
Oh,
so
okay.
Ayurveda goes back several thousand years, and it's a healing modality. It's an Eastern philosophy, so it's very different than a Western format of trying to, like, allopathic medicine where you are treating symptoms. It's more about finding balance in the body and eating within balance, taking herbs within balance, taking doing the right exercise within balance. That's all right for your particular body makeup, your constitution.
Okay, very interesting. So, okay, we talked about like pharmaceutical versus apothecary, and what about supplements versus herbs? What's your take on that? Because we're also, over supplementing.
Yes.
And so, yeah, what's your take on that, Heather?
I think there's definitely a place for supplements.
Okay,
Our food system does not provide us with the nutrients that it used to.
correct.
And so we are, as a culture in America, we are overfed and undernourished for
Mhm.
sure.
Yes.
And so we have a whole lot of food in our diet, even in our history. Like even my grandparents always had that stack of bread on the table with every meal. Like we don't need that. It's just empty filler, right? It's not nutrition. So things that are just culturally normal for us, the rolls with dinner, for example, are keeping us from getting the nutrition that we need. So I think supplements do play a role. I think everybody should have a basic multivitamin to cover whatever is not covered with your diet. And I like food-based vitamins. They're the most absorbable, best way to get those. But if we can get it from our food, we should. But it's not easy.
It's not. I wish it was. But also to your point, Heather, to still have the nutrition density of the foods that we used to have. We don't have that anymore. So like let's say for instance, a vitamin D supplement. There's a lot of great foods out there that have vitamin D in them. So of course you would have to eat a certain amount of that food in order, to get the proper dosage and amount, which hence why a supplement could fill in that gap. How would I don't know if this actually is a great example, but how would an herb uh, come into play with something like that?
Yeah, there are a lot of vitamins in herbs as well. Especially minerals. I think minerals is the biggest thing we're lacking in our food. And nettles are one of the most nutrient dense herbs that you can consume that can replace a lot of those minerals.
Okay,
So
can you
just
repeat the name of that again?
nettles, like stinging
Nettle.
nettles. Yeah.
Nettle. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, nettles are what spinach used to be.
Yes.
So you can pretty much use fresh nettles and replace spinach if you're making lasagna or something like that in your cooking. It's kind of hard to handle fresh nettles, but you can make a tea out of dried nettles really easily, and it's so full of nutrients and minerals that it could really make up for that lack of minerals in your diet.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
I'm,
good to know.
I'm ashamed to say I've never had nettles before. I
It's
I've never had them before, so but I love spinach, so if it's anything like that, I'll take it.
it's a challenge to harvest nettles. You have to be
Okay.
careful, wear
Mhm.
gloves and all that. But they come out in the springtime, and their nutrient source is such a good spring refresher, like post winter, darkness. It's a really good rebuilder of what you lost over the winter.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So yeah.
Heather, you harvest for your herbs, and so do you also teach people how to harvest as well for those who are interested?
Yeah, I do. I have several herb walks on my calendar every year. Generally can only go out in the springtime around here. It's not this time of year. There's a lot of herbs that have just dried up. They're just not available. You can't see them out in the wild because they've suffered through the dry, hot summer.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, I do 3 every springtime because there's a big call for it. People want to know how to harvest, where to harvest, the proper way to harvest so we don't over harvest. That's a big problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome that people are showing a lot of interest in harvesting their own herbs and want to be educated. Um, Heather, when you are working with somebody, and let's say they are coming more from the pharmaceutical side of things, do you notice it's harder for them to like switch to like herbs, supplement, nutrition counseling, or do you feel like people are pretty receptive to trying out the more holistic path when it comes to their health?
I think there's actually been a change lately. It used to be
Yeah,
difficult to get people to understand that herbs are not like a pharmaceutical. They're not going to lower your blood pressure today within the hour. You know, like a pharmaceutical works right now, and herbs
right.
it's over time. And so that mindset, it was a little hard to get people to understand. But I think so many people are frustrated with the pill mill and the go to the doctor, get a pill, go home, and not really get to the source of the problem. And then you're stuck on a pill forever. And so
Yeah,
they're willing to take more of ownership in their health. And that's really great to see. I love it. I just had a guy come in the store today who, there's a lot of wildfire smoke in the air, and he's a young, healthy guy. And he's like, I really just want something to help my lungs deal with what I'm breathing out there. I was like,
yeah.
great. So we found this really great
Yes.
this mushroom tincture combination for his lungs, and he was super happy, and he was just being proactive.
I love
So
that. That is
I
so
think,
cool.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, Heather, you're absolutely right about this shift that is going on. It's subtle, right? It's not like this massive drastic shift, but it is happening. And
yeah.
what an exciting time for you as a clinical herbalist and educator, like to be part of this, right? Because I'm sure many practitioners like yourself are like, yes, finally, like way less resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did see it coming. I really did. I saw just when I went to herb school, it was so much more prevalent than even back in the 90s. And the company I worked for as a herbal educator, they had started back in the 70s. So I got to see their evolution, and I thought, wow, it really is evolving this way. More and more and more people are wanting to use natural things and get back to nature. We're in such a technological world that we're so far from nature, and all the people living in cities, just getting back to nature is a really huge push. And so I knew that I was going to be prepared for this when it came. So I am seeing that every day. People are just wanting to do things naturally. They're just tired of the running in circles and not getting better.
Yeah, I can relate. My dad has tried everything under the sun to work on healing. He has horrible back pain, and they're trying to figure out the cause, and there's a number of things. And but then his knees hurt, and he's in his early 70s, so obviously there's different things that are coming with age. But he's tried everything, and he's got maybe one last thing he's considering, but I believe it's surgery. And he came to me and he was like, well, this is it, this is the last straw, this is the last option. And I said, it's really not, though. Like, there's a whole other world out there that you have not looked into. And so I myself get very bad migraines, and I'm trying to not just treat the symptoms, but also work on treating the problem itself. And the migraine industry is, my goodness, that's there's so many medications out there and treatments and this and that, and there's not just one type of migraine, as we all know. So it's such a mystery in itself. But I say all this because I know that there's millions of people out there that there's, as to your point, Heather, they're sick of endless doctor's bills, medication that may do something but may not at all, and then they have to try to figure it out again. It's just this loop of a revolving door going to the doctor. And here is this back to basics that you offer people. So what a gift.
yeah,
We've been using these herbs for thousands of years successfully. I mean, there's modalities in every corner of the world that have used herbs forever.
hmm
And it's not like we don't have answers. We do.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, I'm curious too. What are some of the most common ailments that people come to you with?
Stress is the number one.
Okay.
Definitely. Stress is number one. Sleep probably is number two.
Mhm.
Digestion is number three. And honestly, I think 90% of my customers that walk through the door are women. And so I get a lot of hormone issues.
Okay.
Perimenopause, postmenopause. There is just so little relief for women once you start hitting those perimenopausal years and your body just changes and all of a sudden you're a teenager again and you're like crazy. And
Yeah.
there's nothing out there that really helps. And there's hormone replacement therapy, but I personally don't think that's a good long-term solution. I think it can help in the moment, but you should be able to get your hormones balanced. And this is a long story. So that's a big one.
Okay. And of course they're all connected.
Yeah,
Um, of
for
course.
sure.
Yeah.
That's what makes it
Definitely.
more fun. And Heather, like, let's say somebody is, not going the Western medicine route. Maybe they're going more the functional medicine doctor route. But that can still, before you know it, you're on a 10 supplement protocol. And maybe there is some hormone replacement therapy instead of addressing the basic markers of, lifestyle. So like nutrition, working out, but so let's say a woman in that perimenopausal stage, and she's like, okay, well, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to, go see a functional medicine doctor and get all my labs done, right? So full hormone panel, thyroid panel, checking all the basic blood markers. And it's exactly that, a supplement protocol and maybe HRT versus a woman who goes to you in the perimenopausal stage. And, there's no testing. It's just you hearing her out where she's at in life and figuring out which herbs are going to be beneficial to her. Is it really like, is there no like right or wrong way? It's just, whatever the woman is comfortable with doing. Is she still gonna, get caught up in that, not like pill mill, but kind of in a way with functional medicine doctors
Yeah.
and all the testing that takes place. It's very expensive. It adds up very quickly. Or like when you go see like a clinical herbalist like yourself, um, is is that what you like encourage people to to do, or is there a place for both where it's seeking, for herbalism, but also like some maybe practical things and, seeing a functional medicine doctor. And I don't know if my question makes any sense. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, no, there is room. There is a place for both. I definitely agree with that. Getting a blood test to really see where all your numbers are at is really important because you could be hypothyroid and you don't even know it. And since our hormone system is all connected, it's a wireless communication network inside our body. If thyroid is off and your estrogen is off, well, then that changes how you're going to address things. So
Okay.
it's really good to have that knowledge. I think you can overdo it with supplements. I think in some part they are just a replacement for pharmaceuticals, just a
Mhm.
natural replacement, and it can get crazy and super
Yeah.
expensive. And
Oh,
once the supplements start costing that much money, that's when I start to wonder, is this really in the best interest of, doing things naturally, or are we just, spending a lot of money on somebody's pharmaceutical grade supplement? So
yeah.
I just
No.
start to wonder about that. But I think there is a place for both.
Okay.
I think functional medicine doctors, for the most part, are looking to get to the source of the problem. So I really appreciate and respect that aspect of it. They're not just looking to, turn people through their office all day long.
Yeah.
So,
No. Yeah. There seems to be a maybe what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just keep thinking in mind a better approach to patient care because
yes,
it can be very personalized and they spend a way more time
yes.
on you than Western medicine doctors. So that's definitely a huge plus. I'm thinking like, let's say Heather, since we're still using women and perimenopausal as an example, let's say they've done all those things with a functional medicine doctor. They've done all the testing, all the blood work, the supplement protocol, the lifestyle changes, and it's just not quite making a dent, really, even at a cellular level. But she's convinced like this is way better than the Western medicine route. And in some ways, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that might be an opportunity then to kind of shift more towards herbalism, where again, both of them can still be a part of a woman's health and well-being? What's your take on that?
I think they would actually work really well together.
Work really well together. Okay.
Yeah, and as long as the clients are comfortable with that, because there is, adding herbs to your diet is adding more pills. So you're really not going to get a huge benefit out of drinking tea. Tea is just the most diluted way to consume an herb for medicine. So you'd really need to drink like 6 to 8 cups a day. And there's a lot of waste. And so if you're taking capsules, you get a whole lot more out of the herb. Or a tincture. Tinctures are a little better than tea, but I think capsules, in my opinion, are the best way to get the most nutrient and the most medicine out of the plant.
Okay.
But the herbs can do what the supplements can't, because every herb has hundreds of different constituents. And when you're taking a supplement, it's really targeted towards that supplement, towards that microenvironment, whereas the herbs are so much more complex, just like our bodies are. I really think that the plant intelligence is there to match with our bodies, and that's kind of, we're born that way. Our bodies are born to work with nature, and so nature knows more than we do, and I trust it.
Yeah. Okay. So for someone, oh, go ahead, Caitlin.
No, go ahead. Mine's a slightly change of topic, so you go ahead.
Okay. So I'll maybe finish off with this. So say like probably getting blood work done would be helpful, right? Because that's definitely inside look on what's going on, and maybe what you may be deficient in. So let's say you get your blood work results and you're very deficient in vitamin B12. And so the solution is a supplement, because that's their protocol. Are you coming from more of a place of like, no, that sounds like a job for an herb? Or can it be the herb and the vitamin B12?
Yeah, it could be both. And I'm a big proponent of diet as well. B12 is a tricky one because as we age, we don't absorb as much out of our food. So it's not as simple as saying, hey, eat more red meat. That's, not everybody wants to eat the red meat, number one. And we don't necessarily uptake that from our gut, from our food like we did when we were younger. So
right.
I take B12 supplements myself, for example, because drops under the tongue is the best way to get B12 straight to the brain. And it's quick. It's every morning. It takes 2 seconds. And yeah.
Sweet. Good to know.
Even though I do eat meat, I'm not a vegetarian. But I still do need a little extra B12. I would love it if it just came from my food, but it doesn't. I am still, I get forgetful. I'm like, okay, I think I need some B12.
Well, that's awesome.
That's
yeah.
Good to know. Absolutely.
Like the most effective way to take it, I feel like it's a whole other education, right? Whether it's in, in a drop form, a capsule form. And so yeah, that's a whole education within itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I know a little bit ago you had said that stress is probably one of the biggest reasons that people come to you. And then I think you said maybe sleep was the second biggest. I know you offer a world of products. So I'm going to try to not make this a super broad question for you. I was going to say, what are some of your most popular products? But I feel like that could take forever because I'm sure you have people coming in for all sorts of things. But let's say someone came to you and they're highly stressed. Maybe they're overloaded with work and they're feeling burnout, or they're just, I don't know, there's a lot of things going on in their life, and maybe they have even high blood pressure or something from the stress. What are some products that you offer that you might recommend for something like that? And I realize it can depend very highly on the individual, so I know it's not
Yes.
one size fits all when I ask you that, but what kind of route is a possibility for that, I guess.
Yeah, it really does depend on the person and depends on their source of stress. Like, are they truly just overdoing it and they really need to just cut back in life? Are they, one of those people that says yes to everything and they just really need to cut some things out and stop saying yes all the time? But that's truly the solution. And I do help people with those, talking through that when we discuss things, because it's not always about what you can take. Sometimes it is lifestyle. Um, but some of my favorite things, I think, for stress, Wish Garden has a deep stress formula that's pretty amazing. It's in the moment kind of stress reliever. It's not a long-term solution. It can be a long-term solution, but it can get kind of pricey, taking a tincture every day for months on end.
Okay.
But in the moment, their deep stress formula, it's like that. It's like taking your world of stress, like you can't cope, and just bringing it down to a manageable level. You can really feel the difference within like 10 minutes. So it's more of an in the moment kind of solution, unless you want to go long term. But that's one of my favorites for if you're just not coping. It's wonderful.
That's amazing. I mean, I know we were saying earlier a lot of this stuff takes time and you have to kind of have patience with it. But wow, think about, anyone listening or watching. I know I can relate to this. Think about how sometimes you just feel like, oh my gosh, the world is asking everything from me right now and I just can't take it anymore. Like what a great option to have something like that.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have with you in your purse.
Yeah. Hey, if it works and it's natural, like what a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
What about sleep? What about, let's say someone has insomnia.
Mhm.
How many times do we see those ZQL commercials, or and I'm like, ooh, don't really like that, and I'm not hating on you, if anyone listening, if you take it, if it works, great. I'm not telling you what to do, but Heather, I'm curious, what kind of options are there for something like that?
Again, it depends why you're not sleeping.
Okay.
So
Of
if you're
course,
not
of course.
sleeping, for example, if it's perimenopause that's causing you not to sleep, it's a long road to fix that. It's not going to happen overnight. So
Okay.
I am not opposed to people just doing what works for them. If you want to take a sleep aid from the drugstore, good. But that's a Band-Aid, and you should really get to the root of it to prevent the sleeplessness to begin with. So
Sure.
a lot of people, I find the reason they're not sleeping is because they cannot shut the brain off. The mind just spins and spins and spins. And that, I think, is our technology culture. We're used to the constant scene changes on our phones, the doom scrolling, the TV shows and commercials that are constantly switching scenes, and that constant input, as well as the blue light. Our computers, our phones, all that blue light input messes with our melatonin, serotonin production in our brain. So if it comes to that you're just laying there and your mind is spinning, my favorite herb for that is skullcap. Skullcap got its name because that's literally what it does. It just kind of puts a cap on your skull, calms everything down, stops the spinning, and helps you relax by just stop the processing in the brain. So that's
Amazing.
Okay. Oh,
one of my favorites.
What a cool name.
right? Skull cap.
So, yeah.
Just like have it just to say I'm taking skull cap.
Right, right.
In a person's
Is
Yeah.
that something that would be in a tea? Is that like, does it come in capsule form? Like something like that?
Yes, and yes. You can take it
Oh,
however
okay.
works for you. If you want to just buy a whole bunch of skullcap herb and make a tea out of it, great. If you prefer pills, you can put it into a capsule. You can soak it in a little vodka for 6 weeks and make a tincture. So you just need a few drops. Take it however you want.
Okay. So many
But that
options.
addresses that specific problem. So now if there's hormone reasons that you're not sleeping, it's not going to be as effective for that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Because I was thinking, Heather, you know Misty through Holistic Women in Business, the cannabis educator. We had her on as a guest on Talking Blondes, and she just was a wealth of knowledge about cannabis and CBD. And she mentioned that for those who, depending on where they live, even just the slightest detection of THC in a CBD product could maybe have some consequences, like depending on their job or what they do. So that may not be an option for people, even though it can be very effective and beneficial. It almost sounds like herbs is kind of like that solution then to that problem for those who might be like, oh, I can't even have like the slightest THC in a product, but you don't have to worry about that with herbs. So I think that's a really, really great solution for people who may want the effectiveness of something like a CBD product, but like that like THC can really, make people apprehensive. Of course, depending on where they live too, but herbs are like over here, like, hey, like,
yeah,
try.
There are a lot of great compounds in the cannabis plants, the CBD, all the different cannabinoids, they all serve a different purpose and they're pretty effective. But yeah, like here in Idaho, it is 0 THC allowed in this state. 0%. Not even the federal levels are allowed here. So it's interesting how many people get hung up on that one plant. There are thousands of plants that have cannabinoids. So it doesn't have to be THC. It doesn't have to be cannabis. It can be so many other plants that have very similar properties. Like, for example, wild lettuce is a really great pain reliever. Nobody knows about it. It grows everywhere. It grows in every sidewalk crack in this town. There's wild lettuce growing, and it's also called opium lettuce because it's such a great pain reliever. So there are hundreds of herbs out there for every condition.
Oh, okay. This wild lettuce, you harvest it, and then do what with it? You cook it, you put it in a tea, tincture.
Yeah, I dry it first to make sure yeah. But you can make a fresh tincture. A lot of people like to make tinctures fresh with wild lettuce because when you cut wild lettuce, it has a milky sap to it, just like poppy. So you are really that's why they call it opium lettuce, because it has that white milky sap. But it's such a great thing to tincture right away, and you can, there's so many directions on YouTube everywhere on how to make a tincture. But yeah, if you can find a good clean source, I would not harvest it from your sidewalk cracks in town. That's not a good place to get your herbs. But if you go up in the woods where it's clean and pristine, you can find wild lettuce and harvest it, chop it up with some vodka and let it sit for 6 weeks. Certainly follow the directions you see online, but.
That is amazing. I know I was about to be that girl who was on the sidewalks and pulling out wild lettuce.
Yeah, don't do that.
So that was very interesting. Heather, you brought up, I think, a very common ailment for a lot of people, and that is joint pain. And how that gets treated, in the pharmaceutical world or Western medicine, a lot of it's steroid injections, and of course being on, Tylenol and Advil, and, treating it with medications. But wild lettuce and these other, herbs, you find to be more effective for joint pain, or is it one of those, again, like it's most effective paired up with maybe something a little bit stronger? And of course, it could probably depend on the person and the joint pain too.
Yeah, and most herbs do work better paired up with something.
Okay.
A lot of people are sensitive; they don't want to take more than one herb at a time. But when you create a formula, a group of herbs that work together, that can really help. Like, for example, for joint pain, a good thing to look at is ginger is a really great circulator, and it's anti-inflammatory, and it's a blood thinner. It does a lot of things. When you mix that with wild lettuce, you're kind of compounding both of their effectiveness.
Okay.
So, and ginger does have an affinity for cartilage. So if you take them together, you're really kind of driving that wild lettuce to the cartilage. So herbs really
Wow.
do work great together.
Wow. That's amazing.
This is probably a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it. And we don't have to go super into detail with it, but just like herbs can work together, can it be the opposite where, you will guide people like, hey, you don't want to mix this with that sort of thing?
Mhm.
Can it actually be counterproductive in some cases? Maybe the
Yes.
answer is no. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So you can. They can amplify the effects, and particularly if it's in a person that shouldn't be using that herb to begin with. So, like, if
I
you
see.
have someone that has sinus infections and you're recommending horseradish or something really hot along with cayenne or something like that, you're going to make them so much worse by giving them
Okay.
a couple of really hot herbs for a hot condition. Yeah. So, yeah, you can. And to counteract it, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they do combine them to help mitigate that. Like they have garlic pills for cholesterol, for example, and they'll put like cilantro in there because it's cold, so
Mhm.
that it doesn't make your body too hot or aggravate your stomach with too much heat because you're taking the garlic.
Okay.
So they
Okay.
do mitigate each other's problems as well.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
ask all this because this is why people need someone like you when they come in for, a consultation. And I know Virginia kind of touched upon this a little bit earlier. Can you tell us more about what people can expect from a consultation with you?
Sure. Yeah, we do a full health history. So we get the whole background, the parents, the siblings, to find out, what kind of things run in the family.
Okay.
And then a whole lifestyle profile, like what kind of foods they like to eat, what kind of exercise do they do. It's really about putting the whole picture together to see where they might be exacerbating their problem with their habits, that things that they can cut out and not do so much. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but lifestyle habits have a lot to do with perpetuating your problems. And so a lot of people just keep doing it and without knowing it. And then supplements, of course, a lot of people will bring me their supplements, like all of them. And we go through it. And I'm like, well, this one, and this one are all kind of doing the same thing. So you don't need to really take all three of these. So that kind of thing. A lot of times people have a lot of supplements and they lose track.
Yeah.
Like, well, this doctor told me to take this one. I saw this one for that, and then this, fly by night Instagram ad that I saw told me this was
Mhm.
good.
Yep.
So we'll go through their supplements and kind of disperse which ones are working, which ones aren't, which ones to stick with, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well,
And
that
so,
alone is
yeah, we'll
helpful.
go through diet changes as well, because there's a lot of people that don't understand. For example, the horseradish and the sinuses, they don't realize that I have chronic sinus infections, but I just love my hot sauce. And we'll say, the hot sauce is really aggravating your sinus infection, so you might
Mhm.
want to cut back on your hot sauce, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how just making those changes uh, can can really help somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Heather, these consultations they take place at your shop in person as well as like do you also offer virtual consultations?
Yeah, I've recently started doing virtual consultations. I meet right here in my office, right here.
Wonderful.
Just right in the middle of the store. I am kind of a one-man show here in the apothecary, so my appointments are in the morning at 9 a.m. or after work at 5 p.m. So
Okay,
one
because
or
you
the
work
other.
the shop.
Yeah.
Okay. How long have you had the shop for?
About 2.5 years.
Wow. Okay. How's that been for you to
Amazing.
on the shop? Amazing. Oh,
Yeah, it was. I didn't really start out making my own products in the store. I don't know why. I
okay.
started with everything else that everybody else makes. I guess because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
And pretty soon people started asking me to make them a tea. A lady that has a chronic inflammation, she's like, "Can you just make me an inflammation tea?" And I said, "Well, sure, I guess." So I put together a bunch of herbs. I gave it to her. She came back 2 days later and she said, "That was amazing. And it tasted good. It worked so well." So,
Oh,
so I said, "Okay, I'll make you more." And then I started making more and putting on the shelf. Now I have like over 60 different items that I make. So it's
my
grown.
wow. That
Gosh,
is amazing.
seriously. It just grew and grew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just grew based on what people were asking for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
So tell us also, because we know, of course, you use your office and your shop for all of those things. Sounds like you do some other things there as well, various workshops and classes and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that too?
Yeah. Well, other than the herb box that I have to do outside the store, inside the store, we have classes on, let's see, I've done a tincture making class, a tea blending class. I did an Ayurveda basics class for anybody that wants to learn just the basic concepts behind Ayurveda. And most people that do yoga are really interested in that because it's connected to yoga. And so I got a lot of yoga students doing that. That class was good. We did a make your own spring cleaning products class where we made all our own like counter sprays and scrubs and stuff like that.
I like
Um,
that.
I haven't done a bath salt class. I haven't had anybody really want to do that. um,
I love Epsom bath salt.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'll probably be doing how to make herbal salves class this winter. That's one of them on my mind. And I
Oh,
generally do classes in the winter because in the summertime people are just too busy.
yes.
Understand.
Yeah, that's
Understand.
very real around here. And not to mention everybody else's events and workshops, right? During summertime. It's a crazy time here.
Yeah.
Fun time, but crazy. That's really, really cool. I wanted to, Heather, just for the sake of time, we are coming up to that 1 hour mark. So we just wanted to be respectful of that time. We could wrap it up by like maybe one more question if we have another question, Caitlin. But I definitely want to make sure people know where they can find you as we wrap up. So, Caitlin, do you have any other questions for Heather here?
Yeah, this one is just kind of more, a little bit more personal, but not getting too deep at the same time. Um, who or what inspires you, Heather, to do what you do?
Hmm.
Wow. That is a good question.
Yeah.
No wrong
Yeah.
answers.
You know what? My husband has been a big influence on my life. He has been the biggest cheerleader, and he is extremely outgoing. He is very gregarious. He loves people. He loves talking. He is just an out loud person. And I've never been that way. And he has just really cheerleaded me in a way that made me feel like I can put myself out there. I can do the things that I love and put them out into the world. And because he does it every day without even thinking, it's just his normal way of being. So he really inspires me to just step outside the box and just put myself out there.
So beautiful. Oh
Perfect
my
answer.
God, it is. I love that so much. What a blessing.
He is. He is
Blessing.
a major blessing. We've been together almost 18 years.
Oh, I love
He's
this.
fantastic.
I love love this. Congrats and many more to come.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Oh my goodness. And the 5 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 5 kids. The sign of a very happy, healthy marriage. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I love that so much for you, Heather. And I love that for so many other women who are going to listen to this podcast. That's wonderful. And yes, where can people find you?
Yeah, people can find me. My website is healingleafapothecary.net. And my socials, I'm on Instagram at Healing Leaf CDA. And
Okay.
my Facebook is Healing Leaf Apothecary.
Wonderful. We'll be sure to have those links in our show notes. And Heather, is there something, as we wrap up here, is there something you would like for people who are new to herbalism? What is like the one piece of advice that you would have for people?
I would really recommend that people just start trying bulk herbs. Just buy an ounce of something that sounds interesting, go home, make a tea out of it, and just see how it tastes, how it feels, what it does to your body. Most of the herbs you're going to buy in an apothecary are not going to hurt you. So you're really safe. The really dangerous herbs are generally not available to the general public, or you have to really seek them out. But just start trying them, because you're not going to probably hurt yourself. If you do get a tummy ache, that's probably the worst you'll get. So you'll say, oh, maybe that herb's not for me, and you'll go on to the next one. But just try them, taste them, see what it's like.
Cool. Well, it's worth a shot. I was going to say, I do get a kick out of like some of the like memes of like, we won't question the ingredient list on a Dorito bag, but all of a sudden freak out, on a natural wild, herb. And it's like, yeah, like the damage being done to your body from a bag of Doritos versus a little tummy ache, of not handling ginger, you're going to be okay.
Exactly. It's so mild.
So mild. Okay. That is actually, for those of us who might overthink or, just like it's so new, right? So like anything, when something's new, I think it's natural to have, some concerns and some fears, but, it just sounds like you're really an advocate for like leaning into that curiosity and trusting that this is not going to hurt you.
Right.
Well,
a cup of tea is so diluted. It's not going to do much to your body as far as a medicinal or medical change in your body. 1 cup of tea is safe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense. Well, this was wonderful, Heather. Like, I love this so much. You're the first herbalist we've had on the podcast, and we already learned so much. So we're very excited for our viewers to, get this like little education, and also just to get to know you. And it's been wonderful getting to know you, Heather, through Holistic Women in Business. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun to talk about. I could talk about herbs all day long, so this was great.
That's so awesome. That's wonderful.
We're so grateful, and hey, maybe we'll have a part 2 one of these days, and we'll have another chat, because I've really appreciated this, and like Virginia said, I've learned a ton. So thank you so much, Heather. Wasn't sure if we lost you there for a second, but we got you. Thank you for your time and everything. And like we said, we'll have all your information in the show notes. People can find you, and keep doing what you're doing, girl.
Yes. Thank you for doing what you do, Heather. All right. Well, we'll see you all on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.